Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. I am your host, AC McCrae. With me, as always, JK. There he is over there.
Hello, AC. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I have a name for your facility where you do your podcasting from.
Right.
Conversation Cave.
So no.
Come on, you're a superhero.
For years, it's been the bunker in Blairstown. For years, because I lived up in Blairstown and around the area most of my life, and I always called it the bunker because I always thought that the bunker was way cooler. Because anytime there's anything dangerous or destructive, where do people go? A bunker. So Jay's Cave. What am I? What is this? A sports show? You're killing me, AC. You're killing me.
No, I didn't say. I said the Conversation Cave because you're the collector of conversation.
Cave, dude. You're in the conversation closet there. You're killing me. Tell the vacuum to calm down, okay?
I need to move my vacuum out of the way there. Like I said, new sets coming soon, so soon, probably after the first of the year at this point. So welcome to the Infamous Podcast. As I said, I'm AC, that's Jay. We have been having a great time doing this. And if you, again, want to start out just by saying thank you for all the comments, all the suggestions online. Keep those coming. We're going to be implementing those very, very soon. Facebook.com/infamous horrors. Or you can check us out right here. Our new little ticker link right there. Patreon.com/infamous horror. If you'd like to join us on Patreon, we always talk about our Patreon things, and we've been showing off some items from our collection. Today's actually going to be the last one we do of that for a little while. We have things then from our collection that terrify us and frighten us terribly today. We've got some pretty intense things coming up, so make sure you join us on Patreon for that. Patreon.com/infamous horror. Jay, what have you been up to, man? It's been a whole week, and I haven't seen you.
Well,
you look different.
Yeah, I look different. So I went ahead and I helped out my girlfriend, my love, Susan Decker, and I donned the Fester costume again. And I was a really cute looking Fester from the Addams Family. And I shaved everything. And as you can see, there's a reason why I wear facial hair. That's for sure. Because I look like a Cupid doll right now. I look like Lex Luthor, who hasn't exercised in like 5 years. So.
Can that be your costume next year? I will pay you to dress as a Cupid doll.
Oh, no. But in all actuality, our guest this week, and we'll get to him shortly. He should be up in about 30 minutes or so. Oh, yeah. Is really one of my closest friends, one of my best friends in the entire horror industry. And I want to look like him. So you see the shirt on there. So I'm matching. I'm matching my friend Lou, Father Evil, who's going to be up a little bit later on. But things have been great, man. We're getting ready for the holidays. Next week, the holiday episode. And New Year's Eve episode or New Year's episode in 2 weeks. So, AC, it's been great. How about you? How are you?
I'm cold. It's cold here in Indiana. I'm sure it's cold out where you're at. It's can we just do a holiday episode from somewhere tropical? Do we have a budget for that?
Not yet, man.
I'm really thinking, infamous horror from Jamaica. Maybe
I like Coronas and Kills from Key West. So
okay, I don't drink personally, but you can drink my share, and we'll go out there. We'll invite John Dewey. It'll be a great time.
Yeah, John looked like he's got about a few hundred on us already. So
he started early.
So,
but no, man, it's good here. Things are going good. Doing some homework this weekend around the house and managed to injure myself, so that's not so great. You got to get things done. I don't believe in spring cleaning because. Right. When you go out in spring, you got to get everything done, and then you can go out and have fun. No, we're going to be cleaning this winter so we can start spring at a good time next year. We need to get something going because it's been 2 years of insanity. My family's ready to go on some massive vacation.
Yeah, same with me and my girlfriend. We're getting ready to do something, hopefully in the springtime, and we're looking forward to it. As we've taken our next step. We've moved in together and we've moved forward together. And I'm working on different projects, but after the holidays, generally we all need a break, and especially after the last couple of years, we definitely need a break. And it's wonderful to be here, AC, as always. And I can't believe episode 3 already.
I know, man. It just seems like just the other day we were getting a phone call from Steve saying, "Hey, come talk to people."
Yes, come talk. And you know what? One thing we love to do, folks, and I don't know if it's been brought up before. I think it has. And AC, correct me if I'm wrong, because the mind's already going a little bit here. But, we love bringing the episodes with interviews and guests. And some will be future for Patreon. Some will be part of the episodes that we have during real time as you're watching it now. And then we like alternating because we love bringing a lot of different elements to our conversation and our programming and these episodes. And AC, I know, as we talked about before, you come from a different walk of life and career.
Absolutely.
And love of horror versus me. And, that's what makes this so wonderful here, on the Infamous Podcast and the Infamous Horror Network, is the fact that there's so much that we both bring to this and so much that we're happy to share with you great folks out there. And join us on Patreon, because we've had a lot of really great things, different items. And this week, it's right below us right now.
I'm
and
terrible pointing on
this item this week we're going to show you guys something that has made us afraid. And also, I got to believe has made other people afraid who have hopefully lived to tell about it.
Well, I'll give a tease about my item actually then, because the person that my item's related to did not live to tell about it. It's related to a massive worldwide tragedy, and it's one of the most intense items I have in my collection. When we get it out and I show it to you, I may actually tear up because of the significance, but we'll get to that later.
Wow.
Join us on Patreon. You're not going to want to miss that coming up. Patreon.com/infamoushorror.
Wow. I can't wait. Wait.
Well, I got a story to start off with today, because there is something rotten in Denmark, or at least rotten in Tromaville, or unexpected in Tromaville, I should say. I got this article today sent to me by a friend of mine.
Right.
And I'm a huge Troma fan. Used to work conventions for him. One of my next film roles is Kill Dolly Kill, Dolly Deadly 2, coming out from Troma sometime in the next year or two, from my understanding. Directed by the great Heidi Moore, I might add. But I got this article here. I'm going to read you some of it. Troma is giving fans a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Troma president and creator of the Toxic Avenger, Lloyd Kaufman, his very first film, 1971, The Battle of Love's Return. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It wasn't so much the gory Troma. That was still when they were doing the sort of the raunchy comedy Troma that inspired things like Porky's and American Pie years and years later, at least in my mind. But they're offering an NFT, non-fungible transaction. I don't know a lot about these, but they're offering the full rights to this movie.
Wow.
Distribution rights. You own the movie, is my understanding, including the original negative and all the original sound materials, everything, for $500,000, what it's currently listed for on Troma's OpenSea account. A little spicy, but again, you can own full ownership of a movie. And this begs the question, Jay, is this something, do you think that Troma or other small studios, maybe Charles Band's studio, or some of the other small studios, as these guys get a little bit older, maybe they're going to start selling things off so their film work can continue? What do you think about that?
I think it's very possible. I mean, there's a lot of filmmakers now, and especially after COVID, we're all dealing with the loss of income, the loss of work, and the aspect of reevaluating what means what to us. And for someone like Lloyd to be able to create this NFT and someone to actually buy the rights to his first film for $500,000 is crazy. And there could be a number of reasons why, but filmmakers absolutely. And I think, to a certain point, this has been done before, maybe not in such high esteem as with Troma, such a high profile, even though they're more of, B horror in their production of B&C horror, and they're famous for it, which is the wonderful thing about it. But absolutely, the whole model of distribution has changed so much, AC. I mean, now with the aspect of rights, the idea of Legion M, which is selling shares, you can invest in, the production and the distribution and all the different stages of the projects they put through, as well as, looking at the idea of windows shrinking, the theatrical window and the VOD window shrinking. So it's almost at the exact same time, money is needed because most filmmakers love their projects, but it's a career to them. So what's the best project they have? The one that either is making the money or the one that's the next project for most filmmakers. So this might be Lloyd's way of financing the next project or something else. Who knows?
Yeah, and I really am interested. I'd like to try and get Lloyd on the show if he'd be willing to come on at some point in time. Him and I have had a relationship for over a decade now. It's very interesting to me. I know we've got the Toxic Avenger remake coming out with Peter Dinklage coming soon. I can't wait for that. Elijah
Wood and everything. Macon Blair. For those who don't know Macon Blair, all right, watch this weekend Blue Rune, Murder Party, him and Murder Party. What's the one? Oh God, what's the one where they're in the club? Green Room. So watch those three movies because Macon all wrote those movies. and he has worked with his partner. He's worked with his partner for several years, and also he did a Netflix film. I'll come back to it in 1 second. But the Toxic Avenger remake, though, are you excited about that?
I actually am. I love Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage actually is the reason I got back into acting after a 4-year hiatus, partially. Between that and a couple of acting friends of mine who passed away, he gave a speech and he said the next role that he had when he was 29 years old made him a working actor. And I had kind of forgotten that passion, and that speech really stirred me up. So I will watch anything Peter Dinklage is in. I think he's a very underrated actor. I think people maybe don't give him the credit he deserves because of his size, and I think that's absolutely wrong. Every role that man has ever been in is phenomenal. Yeah. Speaking of which, in one of his first roles, I believe it was 13 Moons, with Trauma legend Joe Fleischaker.
Wow. No kidding.
Yep.
Wow. And getting back to what I was saying, his film, I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, was a Netflix original, and that was his directorial debut, Making Blair. And he's worked with Jeremy Saulnier on Murder Party, Blue Ruin, and Green Room over the years, and he's just amazing. You know, he's a down-to-earth guy, very easy to talk to, but he's exceptionally intelligent and a great creator.
Well, let me ask you this real quick, and I will touch on this really quick, and then we'll move on. But why do you think, if he's done these great movies, why do you think he's taken on something like the Toxic Avenger? It seems a little bit out of sorts from what you're describing.
He's taken it on for something that was brought up this week when I was listening to the book, The Big Goodbye, about Chinatown and the fall of Hollywood. And that's the fact that a lot of the films that came out of the 1970s primarily, the children who were 70s children are remaking the films that they loved in the 70s and 80s. And for Making Blair, he's no doubt a fan of the Toxic Avenger. God knows Elijah Wood is. And they're getting a chance to remake the Toxic Avenger in their own vision. And for someone like Making Blair, who's known indie film, DIY film, as DIY as you can get, I have a feeling it's going to be a really incredible re-envisioning of this film. Just like Maniac with Elijah Wood was, when he brought he had a great respect for the tradition of what Bill Lustig did and the aspect of what he was able to bring to the screen with the more modern version. I think 2012 or 13, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I don't remember the date, but I remember seeing that, and I was like, another remake, and I didn't really want to see it because at the time, I'll be honest, I didn't appreciate Elijah Wood as much as an actor at the time.
Right.
I really dove a little bit deeper into his work and find out he's fantastic. Plus, he's such a big horror fan like us. I would actually, I've been trying, I'll just be honest, I've been trying to connect with him. I have a story pitch for a Nightmare on Elm Street film.
Really?
I know he wants to make one. And I figured a way to do it where you could bring in the old generation.
Oh, he loves
at the same
that.
time, transfer it forward.
He
so
loves it. Elijah Wood, I think, is seen, or I've seen in news feeds, him talking about being associated with the project. And you know what? Again, one thing we have to remember about a lot of people who are doing remakes and re-envisionings is the fact that these are the films that they were fans of during their childhood, and now they have a chance to do it. And a lot of times it's not needed to remake, or it doesn't turn out really well. But to be honest with you, it's not a surprise whatsoever. And the more you look at it, Making Blair, Elijah Wood, Peter Dinklage, it's going to be a tremendous, tremendous project when it is.
Absolutely. And going back to the original point with that, so Toxic Avenger rights, I'm sure, off the table. I have a feeling this is going to catch on and do really well for a new generation.
I hope so.
But at the same time, you've got other trauma remakes. I believe Doug Sackman had a Sergeant Kabuki Man movie he was working on a couple of years ago. Can't wait for that. I love Kabuki Man, love Doug. I would like to see what else they're going to be putting out there. I mean, is Nukem High going to be one of these? Is it going to be the lower level trauma?
Yeah, but they already did.
That's true.
Nukem High. I mean, and Lloyd, and I don't know if Michael was involved in that or not, but I mean, it was already done. And there's certain properties also that are kind of out of Troma's hands. Yes. And that's the thing. That's the next question I think we should ask is, how soon do the rights to other Troma properties go? Because if he's doing an NFT for his first feature, and if let's say he's financing another film like you just did with Shakespeare Shitstorm. Of course, Shakespeare Shitstorm now, which for me, it's a big issue. It's a big problem. It played several festivals, and I'll tell you what, it's not a good movie. I'm sorry, it's not a good movie.
I have not seen it yet. I can't judge. I will probably watch it.
Films, you makes other Troma films look like Academy Award winning films. So maybe Lloyd is in a hole because of it. I mean, it was a big production that he was a part of to make this. So
And I know a couple people who worked on it, and I don't know. I really don't. I'm still hoping he gets rid of the rights to Big Gus What's the Fuss, his worst movie of all time, because I actually have 10 years ago wrote a script treatment of a new version of that I think is hilarious. But he hates the script. He gave me permission to write it, and he still doesn't even want to look at it because it's such a bad movie.
That's why he talks one way and out the other. Yep.
But moving on from that, Jay, we've been kind of missing a segment for you the last couple of weeks. We've just run out of time. But you are the collector of conversation. You are just a genius when it comes to horror, and you know pretty much. You're like the Alex Trebek of horror. We'll say that. You know about everything.
Trebek.
So we wanted to have you tell us what were some things that happened. We want to do days on this day in horror history. What do you got for us today on this day in horror history?
But it's funny because two things popped up in research for this. And the 17th really didn't have a whole lot, AC. But because of the fact that I wanted to do this last week, I did come across something. And I give credit to the horrorsociety.com because I knew that, especially during Christmas time and the beginning of January, it's a big push on horror releases because they're testing out the waters and the market's really not that saturated. So the audience and theatrical usually is pretty good. That's what a lot of M. Night Shyamalan's films have been released in January. And a lot of really unique genre films have been released in December and such. But I found this really great. And I want to say this last week. December 8th.
Okay.
There is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 films that were released on December 8th. Ready for this?
Okay.
And this is over nearly this is almost 60 years, right? The Strange Door, 1952. The Atomic Kid, 1954. The Sinister Urge, 1960. The Hell of Frankenstein, 1960. 1962's Beauty and the Beast. What do you mean? There's another Beauty and the Beast besides Disney?
Well, no, wasn't that a Hammer film?
I think it was a Hammer film. Yes, I think. I'm pretty sure Hell of Frankenstein was. The Curse of the Crimson Ultra, 1968. Godzilla's Revenge, made in 1969 as Gorja Minera Gabara. So that was the translation for it. And then Subspecies 4, Bloodstorm, 1998. Butt Crack, 1998.
Yes.
Dungeons and Dragons 2000, that was a horror movie, and Blade Trinity. So multiple releases on December 8th, which I found really funny, especially for the holiday season. But one other thing I found, and I want to give credit because when I was looking through it, I came across this website called horrorhistory.net. And you know what was really unique about it, AC?
What's that?
The simple fact that every day lists a true crime on it. So December 17th, for example, December 17th, 2020, Montana, still smoking. Montana Browning disappears after school, still smoking, and was last seen by her classmates, reported having accepted a ride. That was December 17th, 2020. December 17th, 2017, Los Angeles, California. Marion Parker is kidnapped and murdered in a ransom attempt by William Edward Hickman. December 17, 2019, in British Columbia, Jacob Foreman kills his wife, Clara, and their two daughters, Karina and Yasina Jacob. Jacob had an addiction to alcohol and had other issues. And it goes all the way down. And there are a ton, according to this website, of like true crime on a particular day. So it's a really cool website. I didn't dig too deep because, I wanted to keep it at the surface. But it was really interesting to find a website like that. I'm sure there's other ones out there like that. But on those days, on December 17th, right now, whether you're watching this streaming podcast, the infamous podcast, there's all kinds of crimes that are happening every day, but specific ones, according to that website, on December 17th.
And that is one thing I want to point out. Not right now, maybe after the first of the year, probably February-ish. I want to have a first true crime episode because true crime to me is part of horror. There's nothing scarier than a maniac that's really out there that could, invade your house and murder you at any second.
Wow. Horror is so fluid. You can go in so many areas, and that's why it's so great.
Yeah, and so we're going to be talking to some experts in the field. That we've got mob experts, we've got serial killer experts. We'll bring them all on. Maybe we'll even bring a serial killer on. I'm actually friends with one of them. If I can get them to let me do something.
AC, with them. You're off my Christmas card list, my friend. Forget it.
He won't come to your house.
No, you're off my Christmas card list.
Why?
I don't know, dude. Some of the company you keep, my friend. I don't know.
I like to know weird people. The guy's harmless now. He may have killed a lot of people in the 70s. Totally harmless now, though.
That's good. Okay.
All right, moving on. Wait, was that all you had? Was there anything else today?
No, that's it. December 17th. Other than true crime, has been a quiet day in horror. So the December 8th releases, which I wanted to talk about last week for the segment, I think that fills it really well. But right now, December 17th, 2021, it's the infamous podcast.
Yeah, episode 3. So that's the next thing on there on your list. So we'll add that to the bottom. Next year, we'll be reminded of that.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
So it is now time for everybody's favorite segment of the infamous podcast, the 3 questions of doom. This week we've been talking about fear a lot this week.
Yeah.
As far as you and I behind the scenes and things that scare us, and we're going to ask some big questions. We've got Father Evil, who's terrifying, coming on later. Like I said, I've never met the guy, but just doing the research on him, seeing the pictures, he has this smile.
Yes.
And I don't want him to smile at me. Let's just say that.
Well, let me give a little backstory real quick, because when he pops on, we look forward to him being on in just a few minutes. You know, I've known Lou for as long as I've been in the business, and I've seen him basically go from, and he'll talk a little bit about it, but from a Halloween costume that cost $20, being just a possessed priest, to a man who has fully formed the character of Father Evil and has turned it into something extraordinary. I'm so proud of him. I love him so much for everything that he's done and how he's just run with this. And it's wonderful. His family is fully behind him. You know, they're one tight unit. They run it as a business, but it's so much passion, so much love when it comes to it. And having Lou come on, and we'll have Lou introduce himself when he comes on, because I'll have him introduce himself and see if he's nice enough to do it in the Father Evil voice. Give us his introduction of his real name and Father Evil, because he will do justice where I could not. But, I'm wearing the shirt right now, and his tagline is, "I smell your sins." And it is amazing. And to get back to what you said real quick before we get into the questions, I've seen him at conventions for so long that he terrifies people. It doesn't matter who you are, what walk of life you are, nationality, skin color, gender, it doesn't matter. He goes ahead and scares the hell out of everyone because he is that character. He is Father Evil. He's not cosplaying. He is an original character.
I want to make a distinction about this before we bring him on, before we get into the questions. Cosplaying is fantastic. I love cosplayers. But I think there's a difference between cosplay and creating an absolute character.
Right.
Borat, for example, Sacha Baron Cohen, he stays in character for long periods of time, like I'm sure Father Evil does at conventions.
Yeah.
That is as an actor, that is something that is very difficult, because there's certain things that want to make you break. There's certain things that, you want to do that. He created this character based on a $20 costume, like you just said. Right. I also read in my research as well. But at the same time, cosplayers are great. They're dressing as established characters, like the best way to say it. And he's created this whole mythos for his character, and I just think it's fantastic. I can't wait to talk to him. I've got some questions for him that he's probably heard a billion times, but I think there's some real stuff there. Like, I would love to see a Father Evil movie just based on the backstory he created for himself. But we'll get to that later.
A lot of people. I know that he has figurines and like head full busts of him, and he's got all kinds. He has his rosary beads. He's got candles.
Oh, you got a candle. There it is.
Yeah, he's got mugs. He's got everything. He's really incredible, and he's really built into a business. And you're right, because I dressed up as Fester recently again, and that's a cosplay. I'm not, even though I had fun doing that, I'm not Fester, but he is Father Evil, and God bless him. Or
wait, what?
No God with that, But you'll see. You'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. Stick around for that in just a couple minutes. But we got the 3 questions of doom. So this week's topic, like I said, was fear. So Jay, what is your question for me about fear? Anything fear related you've been just burning through your head about me?
Yes, because I am a big fan of cooking, and I love to eat, and I'm willing to try a lot of stuff. And as I've gotten older, it's becoming harder to deal with. But I've eaten everything from crickets to ants to all kinds of different meats, snake, everything. I've eaten a wide variety of stuff.
Surprise!
Oh, it's wonderful. I'll tell you what. If I fry up a thing of crickets for you in butter and I replace your popcorn, you'll never know the difference. I guarantee you.
Okay, so, that's a challenge. Next time I'm out your way, we're doing that.
There you go. So my question for you is, what are you afraid to eat?
What am I afraid to eat? Actually, this is going to sound really stupid to a lot of people, and this is a legitimate fear I have, and I will not do anything similar to this. So I understand that meat comes from animals. I get that.
Right.
You know, I don't want animals to be hurt. It's not anything related to that. When I was very young, I almost choked to death on a chicken bone from a piece of fried chicken. So I will not eat meat with any bones in it at all because I'm so terrified of just that.
Wow.
Something blocking my airway. It's terrifying to me because I'll even see people like, you know, I'll go to a family gathering or something and that's all they'll have is fried chicken. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to eat this little bit of sides here. And they'll always ask me. And they know. They were there when I was turning purple. I almost died when I was a kid. So I'm terrified of eating that. As far as unusual foods,
right?
In my real life, I'm terrified of spiders. Hate spiders.
Ooh.
I probably would not eat a spider in any way, shape, or form.
Crunchy. Well, if you've eaten White Castle, you've probably eaten everything. So, with that being said, what's your question?
Well, mine is, again, a fear-based question. We were talking a week or two ago about you've been to some of these extreme haunts, these really intense ones. I've never experienced anything like that, but I wanted to ask you, what was your fear, your worst fear during those? What things scared you the most that they did to you?
Okay, so I'll go through a little bit of it, and actually, it's funny because I've talked to Lou, my friend David San, about this, and for me, it was the aspect of that. Not that they would go too far, because unless there's very few haunts that will go to the point where there's no return, and they'll like push it. Most haunts, extreme haunts, have a safe word. They have ways to go. So you go into it. And especially being around as much stuff as I've done, I've been locked in coffins. I went ahead and gone through several extreme haunts. I've had myself duct taped to trees. I've had chili poured on me. I've been abused, kept up all night, and that's fine. The thing that really frightened me was when they went ahead and they did an air horn near my ear. I was afraid that it would damage my hearing, something that probably wouldn't heal. That's what I was afraid of. That would be something that I couldn't heal from. And, I can sit there and I can take a beating just like the next guy. And thankfully, knock on wood, I've been very blessed to heal quickly. And I'm not Wolverine, mind you. Don't know that. But when they did that and they duct taped me to the tree after waiting hours and hours, and she did that air horn, I looked at her, I said, don't do that again. And I didn't use the safe word. I said, don't. And she goes, okay. Wow. And she stopped doing it, because that is the only thing, because you lose your hearing or you lose your sight. It changes your life. And I know I've lost part of my hearing over the years, but man, it's terrifying. And that's the one thing I feared at the time, that it would be something like that. And it happened to me only once. And that's been the only time, thankfully. Wow.
I see. I've never experienced a haunt like that. I've seen the Haunters documentary. If you haven't seen that, by the way, I believe it's on Netflix.
I love it.
I don't think I would ever go through McCamey Manor personally, because watching the guy and knowing from seeing friends and relatives and even myself in my younger years go through an alcohol addiction, I know the look of addiction. And when he's watching those videos, there's something disconnecting, and it's very scary. And I don't think I could do that one. But I've been wanting to try something different. We have one near us where it's just they hood you and walk you through a dark room and touch you. And that's about as extreme as we get here in the Midwest.
Wow. That's crazy to think. The haunts have become so popular. Yes. And I know like Nightmarish Conjurings, a great website, covers a lot of horror. They cover a lot of the haunts in America, but the extreme haunts are tough. And I've worked haunts before, never worked extreme ones, but to go through it is really, really crazy, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Jay, that's the 2 questions down. It is now time for the 3rd question of doom. And I'm going to let you bring in the guest, because it's a very good friend of yours. So take it away.
Well, I'm going to let him introduce himself, but I will give you a little background before he comes in, because his introduction of himself has made him one of the most celebrated as well as popular and one of the most successful people that I know on the scene and outside of the scene. He started off with a $20 priest costume for a Halloween party. And from there, he's parlayed it into a video game, as far as I know, coming soon. Artistic busts, figurines, rosaries, candles, T-shirts. and fans all around the world as he continues to dominate, as he smells your sins. As the great game show once said, guest, would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone.
How you doing, Lou?
Very good. Hello. Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, and Lou is better known as Father Evil.
Evil, yes.
Which is why he's in the dark, because he can't be in the light because he's evil.
He's evil.
He's evil.
Welcome to the infamous podcast.
Welcome, Lou. Glad to have you.
Thank you, guys.
No problem, no problem. So, AC,
yes.
What is the question?
Well, the question we have for you to kind of go in, and we'll talk a little bit about like what you do in just a minute, but we have these 3 questions. I don't know if Jay explained this to you. And so the questions we asked this week were about fear. So the question we have is, what is something that you fear?
Like as a child, or like like literal fear, or like movie type fear, like like.
Let's do it this way. Lou. Talk to me about what is a character that you literally would fear in horror cinema, and what's a character in real life that you fear?
There we go.
A character in real life that I feared, that I had like guttural fear. Would you just terrified me as a child, was Leatherface.
Yes.
He really, really scared me. Because the guy's a massive man and he's wearing a human face. Like somebody's flesh over himself. And you can see he's off. He's wearing like a big like leather bloody apron, but he also has a shirt and tie. And wait, he has like that old butcher look. It's off, and it just seems so wrong, and it's wrong right from the cut. And that just horrified me as a kid.
And what about in real life, Lou? Who did you have a fear and respect for?
I really didn't have any. Didn't really have in real life. Nobody in particular.
Okay. All right. The reason why I bring it up is because for me, I was very afraid of dealing with going into church and dealing with priests. So for me, that was something, because my mom was so religious and my father wasn't. So that's why I bring it up like that. I didn't know, with upbringing and stuff like that, if there was anything ever like that.
We grew up with like a little bit of everything, like with Santeria in our household.
Mm-hmm.
We had a statue of Saint Barbara, which is a patron saint of the poor, and it was a 4-foot statue in our living room. It was like an altar. So when you brought friends to my house, they're like, "What WTF is that?" So I'm like, "Yeah, it's my living room. Why do you have rum and why is there fruit?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's an offer." They're like, they really messed them up. So
that ties perfectly, because later on in the Patreon, we're going to talk about items that we've been afraid of. So that's a great tie into it. Thank you for sharing that, dude.
No problem. Yeah, but that's what I grew up with. Literally. That was my childhood up until I moved out.
Wow.
And so I really wasn't scared. I was always scared. We were always scared of the spiritual stuff, like the possession. Like The Omen was a big movie in our household. I remember my parents checking thoroughly my scalp for the 666s. Thoroughly checking my scalp. Every inch. After they saw that, I remember that vividly.
Let me ask you a question, because we were talking about before. Lloyd Kaufman is selling off the rights to his first film, and AC had brought up the fact about why Troma is remaking the Toxic Avengers, because we were talking about films that they might sell the rights off and be remade. And I brought up the fact that in the 1970s, and you bring up The Omen, and you bring up The Exorcist can also be brought up from that time as well as others. But what made our parents so afraid of those movies back then? Because you talk about checking your scalp. I know you're talking a little bit in jest, but to a certain extent, it really was true for a lot of people.
It was taboo. You just didn't touch that. You didn't touch religion at all. It was very taboo. It wasn't up until like the 70s when the decency laws stopped. All from the 30s to the 60s. You could never see that.
No.
And then when the 70s came, that was those archaic ass laws. They were gone, and then you saw like some real movies, and these people weren't ready for that.
Yeah, you're right, dude. You're right.
So, Lou, let me ask you this: in character as Father Evil, have you ever had a weird experience with somebody that's frightened you, like a fan that you're trying to scare, and it's kind of like chilled you a little bit? Have you ever had anything like that?
Like someone like an Uber fan?
Yeah.
Nothing that I couldn't control.
Okay.
I had a fan like literally quake in front of me, shake, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she was about to cry because she was meeting me. I'm like, holy shit, But I didn't break character. But in my head, I'm thinking, whoa.
And see, that's the thing as an actor. I'm an actor myself. I think, Jay, you've done some acting work too, if I'm right. So, you stay in character for so long. Is there a time where you're like, just like that, where you're like, should I break character? Do I need to do something for this person? Because, deep down, even though you're evil, I suspect there's a little bit of good in there somewhere.
I really never break character unless like if it's like a kid in tears crying. I may come out and say, "Hey, buddy, come here. You see that little guy over there? That's my son. Okay, you don't have to worry. I'm just pretend. If I see a kid really, 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 really crying. But aside from that, no, everybody's fair game.
I've never seen you, man. I've never seen you break character in all the years that I've known you. And for you, that's one of the reasons why I wanted you on, Lou. And talking about Father Evil. Beyond the fact that it's an original character and an exceptionally successful business that you've created for yourself and really for many people, that next great horror character. But it's the fact that you frighten so many people because you embody it. You have that charisma. You are what Father Evil is, and you know how to control and you know how to work it. What really goes into that? What is your method to make sure that you connect with it? Is it the eyes? Is it the hand gestures, the voice? Is there anything particular that always it starts first with?
It's hard to explain other than this. I let go, and I just become him. I can't explain it. It just literally he just takes over me, and I just let the character run by itself.
Now, I actually read that you spend time even the night before preparing to get into character. Is there anything you can tell us about how you prepare to get into character or what your method is? Or is that kind of a little secret process you have?
I do a lot of in the mirror type thing, method acting from the mirror. I look at, I think of certain scenarios and then I, how I would handle it. And then I just, to be quite honest, after that, I just, whatever happens, happens. And once I get onto the floor, I literally let it go. Because if I overthink it too much, I will stay up all night. Even to this day, I know that I'm very popular in the cons, and I know I'm going to kill it on the floor. But even to this day, I get nervous the night before. Oh yeah. I just finished doing 3 wedding services this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and the weekend before on a Saturday, and I've done many of them already, but the day before, I get nervous, because I'm performing, and when you're doing a wedding, it's very personal, dude, and especially and if you're the officiant, and there's people dressed there to the nines, you have the bride in the white dress and the groom, and you better produce, dude. This is their day, and you better not fuck it up. That's some pressure, dude. So that weighs on me. And then you have to do it, okay, and then I got to do it the next week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All right, let's do this. And I'm like, but you know what? I asked for it. Yeah. This is what I asked for. Are you ready for it? Fuck yeah, I'm doing it. But, but I let him take over. I literally, it's hard to explain. It's just, he literally possesses me, and I just let him take over, and I ad-lib the hell out of it, and I have marks that I look for in the crowd who I'm going to target first, and I usually pick, it's usually an older lady, like the eldest woman there. I'll pick her, and I'll come up to the table, or I'll see her, and I'm like, I'm like, there's a sinner here that's attracted me for eons. And I'm like, and I'll just look around and I could smell their sins. It's you. And I usually will cover over the grandmother. Oh my! Once you pick the grandmother, that's it. Once you get her to laugh and take a picture with you, the whole family's in.
So
go ahead, Jake.
You see, man, because Lou, I was there with Michael J. White at the convention with his son. Do you mind telling that story? Because that was such a great story. And it's great when you have celebrities who want you to do this. Go for it.
So, Michael J. White, if I remember correctly, yeah, this was the second time CT Horror Fest?
Yes.
CT Horror Fest? Okay. So, this is 2017 or 16?
I think so, yeah, dude. It's a while ago.
All right, yeah, 2017. Yeah, so he sees me doing my thing, Michael J. White. He says, and I'm messing with his kids a little bit, at a distance. And his kids are kind of like interacting with me, and he sees me messing with them. And then I kind of forget the story, to be quite honest, but he asked me like to go mess with them. So I go over them, and I'm like, hello. And I told the kid, do you know where I live? And he's like, no. I just leaned over, and I'm like, under your bed. And
he loved it.
I just walked away, and Michael J. White, he wasn't expecting that, and the face he made, he was like, yes,
that's great.
He was so happy with that. Yeah, but that's when I came up with that, and I'm like, you know where I live, and I'm like, at that moment, that's when I came up with that. I'm just totally ad lib. I've been using that ever since, and it terrifies kids still.
Oh, dude, it's great. And Michael J. White, I mean, Spawn, all the martial arts movies. I mean, he's larger than life, just an incredible actor. And
yeah, I was messing with his wife too.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, I told her I watch her when she sleeps. And I whisper in her ear. She thinks she's dreaming, but I'm actually dropping seeds. And she's like, get out of here! Yeah.
Oh, dude. Hey, can I ask you real quick? With COVID this year, how was getting back on the convention circuit? Because you're someone who is generally close proximity when you're interacting with the, marks, people that are buying the merchandise, fans. Can you talk a little bit about that?
February is when I first started this year. I started bright and early this year. I wore the visor, but they were very careful. It was for Garden State Comic Fest Winter Edition. And all eyes were on them for a minute because they were the first con to open up during COVID. The very first ones had the balls to do it, to be quite honest. And they had two huge aerators, one on the first floor, one on the second floor, and it was more than enough to take care of all the cubic feet in there. And not a single case came from it. It was flawless. All the vendors were happy. All the vendors made money. Everybody had a good time, and everybody was watching. They had so many haters, wanting for them to fail, and they didn't. And then that was, I guess, the icebreaker, and then everybody else started to get in on it, more so with outside cons than inside cons. But inside con with the visor, everything was fine. People were at a distance, you're there to do a show, so you gotta what's the best word I'm looking for? If you're that scared to be out there, you shouldn't be out there.
Right. Yeah. I get it, dude.
Okay. One thing that pisses me off, and I might catch shit for this, and if I may be frank. Oh God. I hate it when actors, they're getting these huge what I'm looking for. These huge contracts, these huge
paydays.
Not even payday. It's
guarantees.
Getting these huge guarantees, and they want a visor. Okay, all right, I get it. And then they're taking a picture with with their mask still in their hand. I'm like, dude, put the mask down, dude. I'm paying top dollar. Put the goddamn mask down. Really, you just take the picture and put it back up. Really? I mean, like, I'm paying top dollar, and I mean, I hate to say this, if Brad Dourif's that scared to do it, then don't be out there doing it, dude. If you're going to be holding like this, literally every picture that I've seen that these people paid top dollar for, he has both his hands on his mask, just getting ready to put it right back up. Like, take the click. I'm like, Yeah, that would piss me off. You know?
I get it.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
I mean, dude, if you're that scared, then don't come out. Don't come out. Wait till it's done. Wait till it's done. Do online appearances. I'm sure you can do that.
Yeah.
Do some signature, sign a shit ton of Chucky posters. Do something like that if you're that scared. But don't do that to the fans, man. It's bullshit.
Yeah. And I think that's a fair thing. I mean, with the way COVID has changed the entire industry, if you don't want to go, don't. I mean, nobody's forcing you to go. You want to go, but nobody's forcing you. So I think it's a fair thing to say. I really do.
Yeah, you know, it's another guy. He pitched. This is pre-COVID. He wouldn't take off his glasses. And he had these big ass sunglasses and his hat. John Cusack.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what a dick move, dude. I mean, really?
That's exactly why I didn't go to that. That was the high fidelity tour he was doing that on, showing the movie across the country. And that's exactly why I didn't go. I wanted to meet him, and I love that film, but I don't want to pay $100 or more for a picture of somebody in mask or glasses or anything. So
why even bother? Dude? Just stay the fuck home. If that's, especially now. I mean, like, I get it. If you're scared, no problem. But don't do that to the fans, dude. You're gouging them.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you this. So I was reading your biography that you created for the Father Evil character. Jay's told me you've got merch, you've got T-shirts, you've got dolls, you've got everything. Why is there no Father Evil movie yet? I'm saying yet because I'm hoping it's coming, but that story to me lends itself to so many iterations that you could possibly, so many different directions you could possibly go with it.
I haven't felt it to be the right move yet. I go by my instincts. And I just don't feel it. The journey that I've been taking leads me to where I need to be. And right now it's saying movies not just yet, but I'll do a cameo in a movie, which I'm doing for a friend of mine, Billy Pond, Cowboys from Hell. I'm actually doing a cameo in his movie. I'm actually playing myself, and my son is going to be in it as well.
Awesome.
So but I was I'm very leery because there's a lot of movies out there that are just like blah, you know. Yeah. And I've invested a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears into this, like almost $80K in 7 years. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not going to risk it because one horrible movie can destroy your persona.
Very true.
It's very true.
Oh, that was that priest from that really crappy movie. Oh my god, ha ha ha! You know,
nah. No, if you ever do it though, I'm telling you, I'm buying the first copy because that story that you created, like, how did you come up with the story, the backstory of Father Evil? Was it different bits and pieces of things from your personal life, or was it just different things that inspired you from the horror world?
A bit of both. A bit of like a little. The way I see it, it's almost like an epic. Like it's a deeper story. The more you get into it, it gets. The way I would see it is like a 3-parter, like Lord of the Rings type thing.
Okay.
But that's the ultimate way I'd see it. But obviously, that would never happen. But if I were to do a movie, like if I had a choice of who were to direct it, it would be hands down Guillermo del Toro.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That'd
cool. He's got away with it. He's got away.
He's hands down, and also it's a Latino thing, you know. So I would have to do it, you know. But it just hasn't felt right. I mean, my goal right now is I want to be a destination point in New Orleans. I want people to come to see me in New Orleans and walk with the Father. Let the Father tell you this ghost story about all these ghosts that are around you, blah blah blah, and do these ghost tours. I know I would do well. That's Father Evil, and especially in New Orleans. That's my goal. My goal right now, because a movie can come and go. When you're at a tourist destination, it's different. That's perpetual.
Lou, how's it been bringing on your son and having him be in part? Because your wife is very heavily involved. Sarah's very heavily involved in the business side. You've been a team for so long. You're an amazing father. You love what you do. You've done so much already. How's it feel to have the next generation be a part of it?
It feels fantastic, to be quite honest. the older he gets, the more he's realizing who his old man is in horror. And like he's showing more and more of his horror stuff that he likes. Like he's really into the Five Nights at Freddy.
Yes.
There's like all these sub genres within Five Nights at Freddy's that he really gets into. And he's always showing me his horror videos. I gotta show you this, man. And then he does his own version with his own editing and stuff. So it inspires him. So I'm like, dude, by all means, eat it up. Eat it up.
Awesome.
I'm like, you could be the next director. He's like, what's a director? I'm like,
yep,
a guy who makes horror movies. And he's like, wow, that's a director. I'm like, yeah, you know how you make good movies? That's how they started. And he's like, wow. So I'm like, yeah, you can be the next director, buddy.
You got a camera right here. Simple as that.
Yep.
You know, God, you know, if I can make a short film, Lou, anyone can do it. So anyone can do it.
Yeah, Lou, I love that because I'm a father myself, and you know, my sons, they don't get to see my stuff a lot because I don't want to expose them to that yet. Because most of the time I don't have clothes on. They don't need to see that. But I just love the fact that you can work with your son. I got to work with my son and get him involved with a pro wrestling company, AEW, this year. And just seeing that joy on their face when they do these things that they love, that are so much that we, you know, maybe things we've shown to them. It's just the coolest thing, isn't it?
He also gets, yes, it is, but he also gets a little territorial at times because he sees these kids coming up to me wanting to pick with Father Evil, Father Evil, Father Evil. And then he'll come out every now and then, you know, he'll hang out around me and goes, yeah, that's my dad. You know, he'll let them know, like, you know, you can take a picture with him, but just know that that's my pop, you know.
That's really cool. I love hearing stuff like that. See, we always talk about here on the Infamous podcast, horror is a big family. And it's so cool that your family's involved. You know, does your wife play a character or anything, or is she just really supportive behind the scenes?
She's behind the scenes, always has been, always has wanted to be behind the scenes. That's her thing. I've offered her, I'm like, you want to do this, that, or the other? She said, nope, no part of that. I'll handle the business. I'll tell you where to go, where we're going to go, and I'll handle all of that. You do your thing. I'll do my thing. I'm like, no problem.
I just love hearing that. That makes me happy. It really does. Like, I just can't explain it, but just the connections that people have in horror and the family that you just get to do it with your family. It just is so. It makes me so happy. Thank you for sharing that, Lou.
I would say a big majority of my success is because of that chemistry that I have with my wife. If I can't trust my wife, then who can I trust?
Amen.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You know,
I ask you one other thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is kind of a dumb question, but your catchphrase is about smelling sins. You work at a lot of conventions. What's the most fearful smell you've ever had up your nostrils at a convention?
I would say sloth and gluttony. Oh, my God.
That's everywhere.
Sloth because it's too lazy to put on some goddamn deodorant, and gluttony because they let that shit out as they're walking, and they crop dust the hallways. Oh God! Oh my God! Yeah, yeah.
You got it.
The horrors of conventions is a whole other episode.
Woo! I told them I started to talk.
Join us.
Yeah, exactly. I started to tell them about the coffin.
Oh my! You told them about the coffin?
A little bit. I told the audience that's watching right now about the coffin.
Oh my God! He told this guy. It was, I forget. It was like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And this guy had summer teeth. Some are there, some weren't. He was.
Oh God!
And he was taking our order, and I'm like, okay, this is, all right, this is interesting. We were hungry, and we were kind of like beyond tired, and we were giddy. So this guy comes out of nowhere, and he's like, "Yeah, we're going to this convention. They're going to take I have to take off my shirt. It's gonna be kind of cold, but then they're gonna take tape, right, and they're gonna put it on my chest, and then they're gonna pull it off real fast, and then they're gonna put me in a coffin and then roll me down the stairs." And the guy's like, "What?" I'm almost in tears. And Dave, Jace just keeps on going. Dave is like, I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he was oblivious or not, but I'm crying almost.
You are.
I had to walk out to have a cigarette, and at that time, And Jay, I'm like, holy shit, dude, this guy was eating it up.
Yeah, he was. And it's based, I mean, it really happened. It really happened. But the way it was just, AC was so perfect timing. I'll say this for Dave and for Lou. I miss you guys being on the road.
I miss that too, man. I miss that a lot too. I miss the horror podcasts.
Yeah.
You know, I miss the you know, you actually introduced me to that creepy pasta.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been listening to it ever since.
Good. That's the way it should be. I'll tell you what, AC, there's not a better guy in the industry than Lou is. And I will, honest to goodness, and you deserve everything, my friend.
I apologize for the horrific lighting.
Like I said, you're evil. You have to be in darkness. It makes sense.
So, well, Lou, you're always welcome. And I'm
absolutely.
AC echoes this. Always welcome on here to jump on and talk. And, you know, we're getting ready with the holidays just around the corner. My final question for you is, you know, holidays are really interesting with horror. And, you know, you've got some really interesting films that come out. A lot of cult films come out. And one of my favorites is Santa's Sleigh with Bill Goldberg. Do you have a favorite holiday horror film by any chance?
To me, holiday horror film is The Shining.
All right.
Okay.
Nothing says Christmas like The Shining.
Wait, let me blow you guys' minds for a second. I was shooting a film in New York a few weeks ago. A guy proposed a theory to me about The Shining that I'd never heard. Imagine it's from Wendy's point of view, and she's the one that's going crazy. Think about that.
That's right, Kubrick's alley. That's a modern kind of Shining now.
The guy that was telling me this was telling me if you look at the twins, one of them has different things on at one point in time, so she's imagining one of them, and it just blew my mind, and I can't wrap my head around it.
I saw a snippet of the overlay of you playing The Shining from the very beginning and from the very end, you know, backwards at the same time, and they're overlaid against each other. It is trippy.
Wow, I have to watch that.
We need to do a whole episode of The Shining and bring Lou back on for that and just talk about it.
People have done that, so you can see it on YouTube. You can just put The Shining back-to-back overlay or whatever. Just type that, and you'll see they have the entire movie like that.
Wow, shit, dude.
That's crazy.
I'll check it out.
Definitely.
Wow. AC, finish us up.
Yep. Okay, I got one last question for you, Lou, and this is just a very basic question. We've been talking about fear. What do you think it is that just you enjoy about making people fear you so much?
It's power, dude. I'm gonna be honest. It's power. You have that. You're like, they tremble. It's intoxicating. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, as a haunter, as whatever, it's just like, oh my God, you could, no matter how big, small, whatever, wide, it's just, when you see them, that fear, it's intoxicating. It's hard to explain. It really is. It's trying to explain the color blue to a person that was born blind. It's kind of really hard to explain.
Wow. Well, okay. One last thing. I guess this is the last thing. One more. If Father Evil, because this is going to be on at night, if people are getting ready to go to bed listening to the podcast, is there anything Father Evil could tell them to make them sleep better at night? Is there anything that you could think of that he might tell them?
Yes. The Father is never far. Just look under your bed.
My bed's right there, and I'm pretty sure you're under there, you creepy bastard.
Jeremy Lowe's going to say that.
Oh, God.
Father Evil, Lou, thank you so much for joining us on the Infamous Podcast. We're going to have you back for sure. Jay, I think we need to do a Horrors of Convention episode and bring him back to talk about that, because there's plenty of stories that I need to hear.
There is.
You know, you should do a show at a convention. I'd be more than happy to set some time for you for that.
Oh, let's do it, Jay.
We could see about Horror Hound. We could see about Horror Hound. We could see about a whole slew of them. So we will figure something out, because AC's in Indianapolis and we're both in Jersey. So we got to figure. Maybe AC, you come out. Maybe we'll see if Ryan wants to do it at a New Jersey horror show.
Hey, I would love to come to a show out there. You guys have the good horror shows out there other than Horror Hound. There's not a lot around here, so I'm dying to come to the East Coast to see something.
Well, please do. Lou, where can they find out more about Father Evil?
FatherEvil.com. Also, I have my Facebook page and Instagram and TikTok, all pretty much the same name, but my Facebook page. I post a lot of my, the majority of my appearances on my Facebook page, and it's tied into my website, fatherevil.com. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Go there. Not only find him, buy some merchandise. Look at Jay's cool shirt right there. Check it out. One more time, Jay. There you go. Father Evil shirt. Lou, thank you so much for joining us on the Infamous Podcast. We're going to have you back very, very soon, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and
oh man, what a cool dude! Like I had never met him. I was actually kind of worried because, like I said, that is one creepy smile he does, and I'm glad I couldn't see if he did it. So we're good. We're good.
He did do it a little bit. He was relaxing because he's just like most of us. He's got a 9-to-5 job. I mean, one day Father Evil will be the dominant focus for his life, but just like everyone else, he's hardworking 24/7. A provider, an entertainer, an amazing man, and much, much more. So thank you, Lou, so much for being on the Infamous Podcast here. And Patreon below, check it out. Right, join us because
there
amazing guests like him and John Dugan and Ed Sanchez and many more to come, both during the showtime and in the after hours.
Absolutely. And something I need to point out to you guys, Jay had an absolute point. The more we get out there, the more you guys talk about us, the more we give you the content, the better content we're going to be able to give you, the bigger names we're going to be able to get on the show eventually. So help us out. We'll help you out. We'll give you some great, great horror content. And Jay, you're getting lost there. Oh, it's a cat.
I brought Francesca to the party.
Woo!
This is that our mascot? Von K.
Is that our mascot now?
She might be. She's lovable.
We'll
so you get to see Franny Von K if you join us here on the Infamous Podcast, because she's a little infamous young lady herself. So, So
Jay, where can people find you on socials? Remind them of that.
On socials, you can find me under A Strange Man in the Film Land and under JYKY and a lot of great stuff. And I'm going to be setting up a new website soon pertaining to A Strange Man in the Film Land production. So look for that coming out because there's a lot of great stuff coming out on my end. And what about you, AC?
I'm over here. Yeah. Oh, we got it right almost. That's great. You can find me at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, AC McCrae 6363. Like me, poke me, whatever you do on social media. You kids do these days. I don't know. Tickle me. Is that a thing now? I don't.
The Pillsbury Doughboy.
Pillsbury me.
No,
Somebody's got to come to the convention now and do that. It's your fault, Jay.
That'd be great. We'll be
until next time. Stick around for Patreon. We've got the most frightening item we own coming up very, very soon. You do not want to miss that. Stick around for that. If you want to join us on Patreon, it's very simple. Patreon.com/infamous horrors. Come over, join us. Let's have some fun together because it's what we do. We're a family.
Yes, we are. Dysfunctional family, and all are welcome.
Yes, we put the fun in dysfunctional. Come join us.
Oh, I love that. That is wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody.
For Infamous Podcast, JK, I'm AC. Stay spooky. We'll see you next time.